Hello, and welcome to the OriginMD channel. This is an Origins-only green and black or Golgari deck that relies on creature advantage. It's assumed you've already watched the level 1 video discussing which set to take and level 2 video regarding the basic types of decks there are in Magic. This deck wins by having a lot of creatures on the board and utilizing this advantage in the mid-game. This deck works by generating lots of disposable elves and swarming your opponent. It's a mid-range deck that can be the strongest around turn 6. You're fine with a board stall as long as you have other threats in hand. Naturally, this means that your game plan is very fragile against mouse removal, so play wisely by watching the lands your opponent plays, and wherever he puts a lot of his own creatures on the board. You have at least 2 ways to evade blockers with this deck to deal massive damage. Depending on when you play in the cycles discussed in level 2, you might reach as high as rank 20 or 30 with this deck, although by adding more sets this deck can become much more powerful. This deck features games versus rank 30 to 40 players. You will likely have it easier. The priority is to get as many elves out as possible. Generate token elves with Dwinin's Elite and list Elana Huntmaster and other elves. Buff your creatures with Dwinin and cast the Shaman to make your opponents lose lots of life when you control many elves. It is also your way to break board stalls. Buff your unblocked creatures with Might of the Masses and make your creatures unblockable with Rogue's Passage for lethal. Now, let's discuss each card in more detail. Thornbow Archer is a good 1-drop that can attack for 2 damage if an opponent does not have enough in play, meaning almost always. Unbridled Growth provides some mana fixing and a card draw when we need it. Might of the Masses is the bread and butter of this deck. We want to have as many creatures as possible on the board, and this instant helps deliver damage if one of the creatures is not blocked. Bone Splinters allows us to trade our low power elf or a token for decent opponent's creatures. The main problem with this spell is that it's a sorcery, so it can't take care of vehicles and cannot be played on the opponent's turn. Dwinin's Elite is our token generator. If we have a Thornbow Archer out on turn 1 and cast the Elite on turn 2, we get to attack for 5 damage on turn 3, which is not bad at all. Elvish Visionary is an excellent card that allows us to draw an additional card and synergizes with the rest of the deck theme. Riff Soul is our go-to card if we don't have any elves in play, helps curb our opponent's aggression. It's a mediocre removal at sorcery speed, and has to be replaced once you have a set other than Origins. Liliana Heretical Healer is a creature with a good upside, a 2/3 lifelink, and widely useful if one of our creatures is gonna die. Nyssa Vastwood Seer is an excellent elf that allows us to accelerate with the additional forest upon entering the battlefield. Usually the game would be over before you can transform Nyssa, but it's still a good upside. Reclamation Sage is an excellent card against enchantments and artifacts that are abundant in the Kaladesh and Aether Revolt metagame. Synergizes extremely well, and at worst can be a reasonable body to generate tokens with Elana Huntmaster and the like. Shaman of the Pack can deal massive damage to your opponent during board stalls, as long as you have enough elves on the field. It also counts itself on the field before dealing the damage. Dwinin Guilt-Leaf Dian has reach to block flyers, such as Smuggler Sculptors, buffs all other creatures we have since we only run elves, and when it attacks we gain 1 life for each attacking elf. A pity that it's a frequent target for removal. Elana Huntmaster is another massive token generator if it starts going. If you have it on the battlefield and cast Dwinin's Elite, you will have 2 tokens, 2 power Elite, and 3 power Huntmaster for a total of 7 power on the battlefield. Attacks next turn and buff an unblocked creature with Might of the Masses and you hit for 11. A board wipe will, of course, hinder the plan. Guilt-Leaf Manure is a powerful elf with menace and can destroy a creature whose power and toughness are unequal. In testing, it underperformed for the amount of mana it needs, and I would recommend you to cut one of them for extra lands. Lifecraft Cavalry is a new addition in Aether Revolt starter pack with trample and comes with a revolt upside of having 2 +1/+1 counters. In the current fast-paced meta it seems a bit too slow, so it's experimental for now. As for the mana base, we have 6 swamps, 12 forests, 2 woodland cemeteries, and 2 rogues passages for making creatures unblockable. The land count in this deck is quite low for a mid-range deck, only 22 of them. So if you play this version, make sure you start the hand with 3 lands or at the very minimum 2 lands with different mana sources or unbridled growth. Alternatively, replace some of the high cost creatures or spells with lands. Now that we have discussed the deck, let's play. Let's have a look at what we have here. I think this looks decent. We can get out an Elvish Visionary and then make more tokens, elf tokens with the Dwindling Elite. Then fortunately gather enough to go for the Might of the Masses. So let's draw a card. We got a swamp, which is not too bad considering we have 2 cards that require 2 black mana to be cast. Alright. Is it colors? Vessel of Paramita. Interesting. Is this going to be some sort of a mill deck? Like a mill burn? I don't know. Let's go ahead and create a token. Attack for 1. And wait for the next turn. Reclamation Sage is going to come in quite handy against the mill. Alright, Wandering Fumarole now has 2 mana available. He is going to use the Vessel of Paramita. Let's see. Alright, 3 lands are going to be gone. Not gonna say that this is going to impact our plan this much. If he does have removal spell, right now I want my Might of the Masses to deal maximum amount of damage possible. If not, I'm just going to continue pumping out the creatures. So I'm not going to use the Might of the Masses yet. Alright, he also has green mana, so might be interesting. Displacement Wave, not a card I see very often. So he's going to return all the cards to our hand. Which means we can start drawing again with the Elvish Visionary here. Can also get one more land out with Nyssa, which I think I'm just going to do. Since this way we can play out 2 creatures next turn. I think that Riff Soul is not going to help us against his deck at all. So let's see. What kind of solution he has. If he has another Displacement Wave or another Mass Removal spell. Alright, he has a Fevered Visions. So a decent target for Reclamation Sage as well. We got the Woodland Cemetery, so we now have 5 mana, which means we can go for the Reclamation Sage and a Dwindling Elite here. Which I don't personally hate. We also can play out the Guildleaf Winnower here, but its value is not that high considering that he has removal spells and doesn't have any creatures, so Menace and the Destroy effect is not going to matter much. Can also go for Liliana in case he has a removal spell for either of our planeswalkers. So we've got a whole host of things that we can do. I don't think I really hate the additional draw that this Fevered Visions provides, so lots of options here. I think I will still go for the Dwinnen's Elite, and then for a Reclamation Sage to destroy the Fevered Visions. And of course I'm going to attack for 2. Let's see if he has another displacement wave. Instead he has a Sphinx's Tutelage. So probably should have kept the Reclamation Sage in my hand. Let's see what was milled. Some more forests. This is completely fine. Let's see, we do have one more forest. This is going to be 6 forests. So not enough to transform Nyssa yet. Alright, we have 6 mana here, so we can go for the Elvish Visionary and Dwinnen's Elite. How many creatures is this going to be? We're going to have 3 more creatures. We have 4, 5, 7. Yeah, this looks like a good thing here. So let's go for an Elvish Visionary first. Draw a card and see what else we can get. It's going to be a Shaman of the Pack, and he also makes our opponent lose life. So unless he has a removal spell, he is going to be dead next turn. Let's go for a Dwinnen Elite for additional creatures here. We're now going to have 7 on them on the board. Let's go ahead and attack. We're going to buff one of our creatures. Since our opponent is tapped out, we don't care which one. So, in any case, this is game. Let's have a look. I think we can do better than this. Alright, this looks decent. We do have a turn 1 play, turn 2 play. And by then we should draw some additional mana here. Alright, Greenbelt Rampager. Our opponent is going to gain energy and get the Greenbelt Rampager back. Let's see. Let's go for the Thornwood Archer. Let's see which kind of land our opponent is gonna have next. If it's a green mana, he can play out the Greenbelt Rampager twice and put it on the field. Or he might have some other plans. Westwell Abbey, alright, a Smuggler Sculptor. Pretty powerful play for turn 2. So let's go ahead and attack. And I think considering that our opponent has such a fast start, it's better if we play out the Dwinnen's Elite to start generating the elf tokens. Let's see if our opponent will have a creature to crew the copter on his turn 3. Unfortunately, we don't have a removal spell in our hand that can be cast at instant speed. So instead it's going to be Nyssa's Pilgrimage. That means we will hit for 5 this turn and leave our opponent at 13, which is quite the good news for us. We've got another forest. I think it's a decent idea to go for the Elvish Visionary here. Let's see what we're gonna draw. Alright, it's actually a Thornbow Archer. I'm even tempted to not really wait until the Elana Huntmaster comes into play and to just cast him out right now, since our opponent doesn't seem to have black mana sources for Languish. He needs expertise, or white for another board wipe, so I think at the moment I'm quite satisfied with having so many creatures on the board. Our opponent will finally cast out the Greenbelt Rampager. Alright, he crews the Copter. This means he is going to attack this turn, most likely. I think we're fine with taking 3 damage. Let's see which kind of card he's going to discard. It's going to be another forest, alright. He also has an Evolving Wild, so definitely has something other than forest here. And has the Greenbelt Rampager. I think I actually don't mind just attacking still. Aha, so we got the Reclamation Sage. Still think I want the Elana Huntmaster this turn, because this would mean that we can get value out of all the other elves we're going to cast. So I think I'm fine with just attacking. Doesn't matter which creature he's going to get rid of, because we will still deal some decent damage here, regardless. He also cannot crew the Copter. So I'm fine with this trade, and we also have the answer to the Smuggler Sculptor here, so we are quite close to getting him down on his life total. Of course, if our opponent has a board wipe, things will take a pretty sour turn for us. He does have a white mana, so might be something like double white. Let's see if after he attacks this is going to be a board wipe. Instead, it's a Reclamation Sage. Interesting. We don't really have targets for the Reclamation Sage though. Right, and another Nyssa's Pilgrimage. Well, our opponent definitely has a lot of green mana. He is on some sort of ramp plan. Is he trying to get an Ulamog out? We do have Might of the Masses. Let's see, how much can we hit for? So we can cast out the Reclamation Sage and Might of the Masses. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go for Reclamation Sage first. We are of course going to create the tokens. Let's see. Might of the Masses deals 7 damage. Alright, this means that we can attack regardless of anything else. And we're just going to cast Might of the Masses on any of our creatures here. That is not going to be blocked. We got a pretty fast start here, so We're just going to have to wait for our opponent to confirm, and this will be game. Only 1 mana is not satisfactory. Now we have 3, and we have an Elvish Visionary for an additional draw, so let's try and make it work. First, it's going to be red and black. Rakdos colors. Lots of removal is possible. Let's go for a swamp. Alright, red, green and black. Interesting. Let's go ahead and cast out the Elvish Visionary. Draw another card. Alright, we got a Reclamation Sage. So if our opponent is running an artifact deck, this is going to be of great help to us. It's already the 3rd turn. He also has an Aether Hub, so there is a possibility of a lot of other things he can do. I think I'm willing to go for a Swamp here and attack. Quite sure he's not going to waste any mana on this, and I'm ready to play out Liliana, even if he does remove her. It'll be fine. Interesting, so he didn't use the mana to remove Liliana. He might have something else that he wants to play. Might be some long-term plan, something like Planeswalkers. Or perhaps he will have Languish using one of the other hubs. Instead it's going to be a Bristling Hydra. So he can make it into a 5/4. Alright, let's wait for him to pass the turn to us. So if we attack, this is going to be fine, because if he blocks, then we will transform Liliana here. And we can play out Elana Huntmaster. So let's go ahead and attack first. Let's see if he's willing to block. He's not willing to block, which is fine. Let's go ahead and cast out Elana Huntmaster. And then if we're lucky and he has no board wipes, we can start generating more and more Elvish tokens. Let's see, 4 mana on the table. Also has Kalitas, this means dead creatures will have to be exiled. Let's see if he's going to attack. I think I'll be fine taking 4 or 5 damage. So I'm just going to let the damage through. He's tapped out of mana, so we can use Might of the Masses to try and get ahead. So we can cast out another Elvish Visionary here to draw an additional card and generate a token. Let's draw a card and see what is going to be drawn. Alright, this is an Unbridled Growth. So, let's see. We can give any creature we have +5. +5. So that means this will be enough to take care of Kalitas. I think this is good enough. Let's go ahead and attack. Let's see if he's willing to block. Alright, he is not willing to do anything here, which is fine. The Unbridled Growth enables us to just go ahead and enchant the swamp right here, so they can produce the green mana we need. We have also gained 2 life from the lifelink, and if we block we can transform Liliana. Alright, Sky Sovereign. I think he's going to take care of Liliana, but I'm not going to use Might of the Masses to save her. Since our opponent is tapped out for mana, I'm just going to use Might of the Masses to get rid of Kalitas, which can be quite problematic for our deck if he attacks this turn. And I have a Reclamation Sage to deal with this Sky Sovereign. Alright, excellent. He does attack. We are going to block Kalitas, and we'll take the 4 damage. And we'll use the Might of the Masses to get rid of Kalitas. He will gain 3 life, of course. But we don't have this problematic thing anymore. I think we can sacrifice Unbridled Growth since we have all the types of mana we need to draw an additional card. Alright, we got another elf. So our Shamans of the Pack can hit for 10 life. I think the first thing we do is we go for Reclamation Sage, because this means that we're going to get rid of Sky Sovereign. Yes, please. We're also going to cast out the Thornwood Archer. So we have started to get on with our plan to go wide here. We can also attack with everything we have. It's fine if one of our creatures is not going to survive this. We want to keep the pressure up. We do get in for 5, and this means we are quite close to just closing out the game by simply casting out Shamans. We also have the Rogue's Passage, which can make some of our creatures unblockable, so he's going to take care of Thornwood Archer. Interesting. Very interesting. He's going to go for Grapple with the Past. I think he might want to take Kalitas. This is indeed the case, but I'm not sure if this will be enough. So we have 6 mana right now. We can hit for 3 damage, or we can just go for the Shaman of the Pack for 6, which I think is decent enough. Let's just go ahead and do this. We're going to create one more elf. This means we get to... Alright, our opponent has left the game. This means we deal 8 damage here with this Shaman of the Pack. Actually, we can just close out the game by having another one. I want to thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.